Welcome to Music Major Meltdown Podcast. My name is Sam.
And my name is Blake.
And welcome. This is special. It is our Christmas special podcast. Woo! If you're listening to this the day it comes out, Merry Christmas Eve. If you're listening to it the next day, Merry Christmas. If you're listening to it the day after that, or really any of the days after that, I guess have fun preparing for the new year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Just Merry Christmas.
And if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or whatever else you celebrate. If you don't celebrate anything, happy winter.
Oh boy, Blake, how you doing?
I am doing well. I'm excited for the Christmas season. Presents are under the tree. All my gifts that I got for other people are delivered except for Sam's.
Wow. Okay, thanks.
Literally, yours is the only one that we had to change the plan because we tried and it didn't. His is
well, I am looking forward to getting that gift whenever it is I get it. Hey. And I am looking forward to you opening up your gift.
I am excited. It's a very heavy bag. Sam told me it was a bomb, and that's kind of what I'm expecting. So
I never said it was a bomb. I may have alluded to it being a bomb, but I never said it was a bomb.
That's
However, still just make sure it's not by the heater.
All right, so maybe I can sleep tonight.
Mm-hmm. And, if I'm being genuine about it, genuine hint for your present. Are you ready?
Yes.
If you want to use your present right away, it actually would be better to make sure it's away from a heater.
Okay.
That's all I'm giving you. That's all I'm getting you.
I have a suspicion of what it is, but I won't try to ruin anything.
No, I won't take a guess.
I feel like it's in the food and beverage category.
All right. I'm not going to give you anything, but I just wanted to hear.
Yeah, I know. So what was even the point? But anyways.
When we get these presents, because obviously we've recorded this before Christmas, when we get these presents and we open them up, we'll throw them down in either the comments or in the description of the video so you know what we're talking about. We'll also mention it on the next podcast. We'll talk about it then. But anyway, Blake, quick opening questions before we dive in. Favorite Christmas movie of all time? I got my choice. What's yours?
This is going to come as it's a little bit controversial. I'm a big fan of the 2000 How the Grinch Stole Christmas movie featuring Jim Carrey, directed by Ron Howard. I don't care what people say about the original. It's a more expansive story. It's still true to the original because it includes the entire poem and is a great story of anti-commercialism, capitalism, and it's funny. Jim Carrey's performance is amazing. So whatever people say about it, it's a great movie.
I heard Jim Carrey had to be trained by a Navy SEAL to endure the torture of that makeup.
Yes.
He said that wearing the makeup and all the fur and everything was so awful that he had to be trained by a Navy SEAL to endure torture.
It took 8 hours the first day, I think, and then 3 hours every successive day after that to do his makeup each day.
Zoinks. That's really all I have to say. Zoinks. Oh, well, my favorite Christmas movie is sort of on the other end, but also perhaps a little bit controversial, you might say. My favorite Christmas movie is a little-known classic, Arthur's Perfect Christmas. And yes, I can see what you're wondering. Arthur, as in the aardvark child from the classic PBS cartoons, with his friend Buster, his sister DW, friends Francine and Muffy. Classic. Arthur's Perfect Christmas. If you haven't seen it, it is truly just one of the most wholesome Christmas movies ever. It embraces really all of the parts of Christmas. It makes fun of the stress of present giving, brings in the message of it's not about the presents, it's about the people you're with, and that's what really matters. But it also embraces all of the other holidays. Francine's family is Jewish, and they focus a lot on their celebration of Hanukkah. And the Brain, one of their friends, the Brain, he celebrates Kwanzaa. He celebrates Kwanzaa. I just couldn't remember that there for a second. Yeah. celebrates Kwanzaa. And so it focuses a lot on how, or at least a little bit, on their celebration of Kwanzaa, and brings in how it doesn't matter what holiday you're celebrating, anything like that. What really matters is the family you're with and the importance of that. And it's great musical numbers throughout, great story, great message, great everything. I mean, truly, like, for all the listeners and Blake especially, I highly recommend it. I would not even be surprised if you could find it on YouTube.
That was a curveball. That was a real curveball. I was not expecting that. I don't even think I've ever heard of that movie. So I will have to go scour the internet for it. Maybe I'll be able to find it.
I have it on DVD. If you can't find it anywhere else, I own it on DVD. I probably also own it somewhere on VHS, if I'm being honest.
Well, I guess bring it back then and I'll watch it.
Oh, all right. Before we jump into our songs of the week, I think it's worth noting, Blake, show off your Christmas sweater, whether you got to stand up or tilt your camera down, something.
It's my Christmas sweater. Hello. Yes. It's actually not mine. It's Rachel's, but it fits me.
Wait, Blake, who's Rachel? Well. We haven't talked about Rachel on this podcast before.
Well, Rachel is my girlfriend that I've been dating for 5 years, 4.5, 5 years. So I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this podcast knows who Rachel is. But if there's the one random person out there that's not our friend, that is who Rachel is.
Oh, well, I love that sweater. I'm not going to lie, I cannot even look at my sweater without laughing. I mean, just the layers on this thing.
Beautiful.
There's the ugly Christmas sweater, traditional background to it on top, and you can't really see it on this recording, but the dinosaur itself is sparkly.
Oh, beautiful.
The dinosaur is wearing an ugly Christmas sweater himself, an ugly Christmas sweater on an ugly Christmas sweater, wearing these lovely antlers up there, and then, as if it wasn't funny enough, holding a present in its tiny dinosaur arms. I mean, this sweater, I just can't help but smile when I look at it. I love it.
Really wonderful. I wonder if there's a sequel to that sweater where the dinosaur is leading Santa's sleigh, trying to fly with its antlers.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be just fantastic.
Genius. I'll contact Walmart, get them to make that one next.
Beautiful.
All right, let's dive right in. Our songs of the week. Blake, why don't you go first? What's your song of the week?
So my song of the week, obviously we did this Christmas themed, and these will be a little bit quicker today just because we have a big segment after this. But my Christmas song of the week, Hitch. My gosh.
That's so stupid.
Anyways,
editor, cut that out, please.
I won't. So my Christmas song of the week is Happy Xmas War is Over by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. So just a little bit of background to this song. This is the first post-Beatles Christmas single. So everyone from the Beatles actually ended up releasing a Christmas single. Most of you probably know Paul McCartney's Wonderful Christmas Time. However you feel about that song, not my favorite. But Happy Xmas War is Over was parts a Christmas song and parts an anti-war protest song about the Vietnam War. So it is supposed to kind of have this feeling of, while it's a good tidings kind of song, there's not supposed to be the same sentimental value, like the emotional cheesiness of other Christmas songs. And you can really hear it throughout the song. Like John Lennon, the opening lyrics, "So this is Christmas," like it's, still celebrating that it is, but also recognizing that Christmas doesn't just end all of our problems in the world, and that we still have to talk about other things, other issues. And it's a very good song that you can listen to at Christmas, is how I feel that it is. Couple of the interesting things. So the Harlem Community Choir, which is a choir of mainly kids aged 12, are the ones that are singing with John Lennon on the song. It's got a very unique chord progression, and what's interesting is me and Sam get to throw in a musical term here, is that it has a counter melody. And what that means is John Lennon is singing the melody to the song, while the kids choir is singing a counter melody, which directly is opposite, directly is conflicting with the melody. So it's not, they're not singing in unison, they're not singing the same notes, they're not even singing notes that necessarily complement each other, but they're two separate melodic ideas that are running concurrently with each other. And it creates this very interesting auditory experience. The lyrics, like I said, are kind of both anti-war, but also Christmas. And it just gives a very unique Christmas song that I don't think we hear with other Christmas songs. So I really love it. I could hear it any time of the year. Sam, what do you think about Happy Xmas War is Over?
You know, I do generally enjoy it. It's a pretty good song. I will say it's not my favorite. I'll still give it a win. You know, I'll give it a win.
Oh yeah,
It's still a good song. It's not exactly in my style, you know, and
John Lennon's a bit weird, you know.
yeah, it is a little bit strange, and I've always questioned, maybe a little, not necessarily questioned, but was curious about the connections between like a Christmas song and using it also as a protest song, like you said.
Mhm.
Like it's interesting, and he does it well, but it's, to my ears, has always felt a little bit odd. But you know, that's also, I acknowledge part of that is it's just my ears not used to hearing that, you know. I mean, I'll be man enough to say it. It's part of my privilege that I don't have, there are days of the year where I don't have to think about things like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I still definitely give it a win. It's a great song, made me think a little bit more. Good
Yeah.
choice, Blake. I'm a fan of it.
Thank you. Yeah. Just to that note, I would say, you know, John Lennon wanted to get to the celebratory nature of Christmas without it feeling too sentimental, again, because there are problems in the world. And I think,
Mm,
you know, us being people of faith need to recognize, even in the happiest of times, that not everyone's in those happy times. And I think John Lennon did a great job of that throughout his career. And that song exemplifies it.
mm.
So, how about your song, Sam? It's quite a treat.
My song, I'm a big fan of this song. I'm not even gonna lie. I love it. It is a little bit of a unique choice. It is the Little Drummer Boy / Peace on Earth, sung by Bing Crosby and David Bowie. There is a lot to unpack in this. To start with, I mean, just the duet between Bing Crosby and David Bowie, you would never think of, like, ever. I mean, no offense to either of them. And I mean, I love both of them, but their styles are just so, they're just not, they just clash almost. Like, they don't even clash. They just, you wouldn't picture them coming together for something.
No,
But
not
they
at all.
did. They came together on Bing Crosby's last televised Christmas special called, and I have it right here, I forget the name offhand. It's called Bing Crosby's Merry Old Christmas. Merry spelled Merrie, and old spelled the especially old way, OLDE. Merry Old Christmas.
Wow.
It actually, the reason it was his last is kind of sad. It aired posthumously for Bing Crosby. So he had passed away earlier in the year, but he had recorded the special weeks before his death. So it's one of Bing Crosby's last recorded features.
Wow.
And so what it is, if you haven't heard it before, is Bing Crosby sings Little Drummer Boy. Just absolutely lovely. Classic Christmas song. I saw a funny joke related to Little Drummer Boy recently, actually, where it's the content of the song is basically saying Mary has just gotten her baby child down to sleep right after he was born. And a little boy walks up and says, "You know what this woman needs? A drum solo." just a little Christmas humor to.
It's still a sacrilege on your Christmas celebrations here. It's a little heresy.
I don't know if I'd say sacrilege, but it's definitely an odd choice. Anyway, Bing Crosby is singing Little Drummer Boy, and David Bowie sings, again, I think you just talked about it, a counter melody over the top of it with a song called Peace on Earth. And that song, I actually found out, was written specifically for this duet. That I think people have sang it since separately, but that duet specifically was the first time Peace on Earth had ever been sang before.
Wow.
And so, similar kind of to your song of the week choice, the Peace on Earth is this brand new, lovely peace on earth, let it be. Years from now, we all will see just these really nice, like, peaceful lyrics and also calling out for peace. The song was released in 1977. It was the height of, I'm sure, one of the wars. I think that would be what? Cold War era? I'm showing my lack of history knowledge with it.
I mean, yeah, Cold War was a while, but
yeah. Anyway, just sings a really nice song combination. It's one of the few great Christmas duets. Bing Crosby's voice is just so subtle in the background, just really light in the background, letting David Bowie's voice shine. And their voices just blend super well together. I mean, I could go on and on. This is one of my favorite Christmas songs, but Blake, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just on those two artists getting together alone, I mean, obviously Bing Crosby's rise to fame was primarily in the 40s and 50s. I think I have that close to right. 50s for sure. And he's got this crooning, low style baritone bass voice, as opposed to, well, not necessarily as opposed to, I mean, David Bowie actually has a very nice bass voice, but in that time during the late 60s and the 70s, he really was emphasizing his tenor voice. David Bowie has one of the greatest ranges in rock music. But talk about a contrast of style. I mean, you can't even pinpoint down David Bowie's style because he did so many different things. So part of it, it doesn't make sense at all. But when you think about it, with David Bowie's versatility, it makes absolutely sense. I mean, there was a point when, I don't know if you know this, Coldplay actually asked David Bowie if he would perform on a song with them in like 2008. And David Bowie respectfully declined because he said he sent it back to Chris Martin and said it wasn't your best work.
Wow.
Yes. But Coldplay really respected it because they're like, you know, he's right. He understands our musicianship and his own, and we respect him for, you know,
saying no when
best. And to like know, yeah, when to go into that and not. But yes, their voices complement each other so well because it starts as a counter melody, then they do sing in not in unison, in harmony throughout the ending portions of the song. I think, especially being Bing Crosby's last days, it was amazing to see how well he was singing still. Like, you know, maybe not as explosive, but still the very nice tone he was able to hit in the lowest parts of his register. And while David Bowie, you know, to some extent in that tenor range carries the song a little bit more. And, you know, I don't know if you'd say it was quite tenor, maybe like a tenor to baritone, but higher end.
It's a mid to higher ranged male voice.
Yes.
It's very achievable for most men to sing, I would say, but definitely not like a super low sound either.
No, it's not Bing's voice. Especially at that point of his career, he would not have been singing that high. But they complement each other very nicely. The Peace on Earth just sounds so beautiful. Like it layers over top so perfectly. You know, and kind of in a sad but like kind of fitting way, Bing Crosby was able to do some of his best work at the end of his career. Like that Christmas special, specifically that song was really well. David Bowie at the end of his career was able to drop his last album, Black Star, a week before he died. And
something close to that, yeah.
It was, you know, one of his best albums. It was like album of the year.
It was fantastic. I did love that album.
So, you know, just two musicians that really defined their own generations. coming together on a beautiful Christmas song that you don't hear often. And can I just say, I hate the Little Drummer Boy. But I like on its own, I hate it. I've always hated that song. When it's paired with those two and with Peace on Earth being in it, it's wonderful.
So it's a win?
It's a win. Oh, it's a definite win.
All right.
That's a winter win.
Oh, winter win. Oh, wow, that was cheesy.
That's only the first one. Just wait.
All right, moving into our next segment. We are super excited about this. This was one of the first ideas we had just in general when we were talking about this podcast. When we realized we were going to have an episode air on Christmas Eve,
Ooh,
we were excited about this.
So
good. We have for you guys our Christmas song matchup bracket. Christmas song bracket. I mean, I like March Madness, Christmas song madness. We're not good at
December Madness Christmas bracket, because Sam is terrible with coming up with names.
December Madness Christmas bracket. Okay. The DMCB.
Yeah. Woo.
Shout out to DNCE.
Oh gosh. Okay. Anyways,
we'll give you guys a little hint of it, or show you guys right here. This is the bracket we are going to be working from.
So
all right, we have just going down the list. I'll read off the song.
Do you want to do that, or should we tell them how we compiled this bracket first?
I'll read the songs first, then we'll tell them about that.
All right, go ahead.
Here we go. Coming in at our number 1 seed, worth mentioning. Number 1 seed is All I Want for Christmas Is You. Paired up on that is Do They Know It's Christmas Time? Next matchup, Feliz Navidad versus Blue Christmas. Next matchup, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow versus Winter Wonderland. Followed up, next matchup, Most Wonderful Time of the Year versus Santa Claus Is Coming to Town. Then we have The Christmas Song versus Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. Last Christmas versus Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. White Christmas versus the Chipmunk Song, somewhat random choice for that one. I mean, it makes sense, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And then finally, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree versus Jingle Bell Rock. Now, Blake, tell our listeners, how did we come up with this?
So Sam and I wanted to find the most objective way to do this. We'll tell you right off the bat, if we had done our top 16 Christmas songs to throw into this bracket, it would not have looked anything like this. Peace on Earth and Little Drummer Boy would have been in there. Happy Xmas War is Over would have been in there. And that's why we wanted to highlight those two songs, because those are two of each of our individual favorite Christmas songs. But what we did is we took we averaged out the compilation of multiple lists across, pretty popular websites. And we took their top 20s of these popular best Christmas songs of all time lists. We averaged them out and we gave 16 songs a ranking based on where they placed compositely on each list. So we do have some honorable mentions that didn't quite make it according to those lists. Sam, I don't know if you want to pull those up right now and we can give them a little taste of a couple of the songs that they were competing with.
Some of the honorable mentions to mention, I won't mention all of them, but there are some favorites of ours that made this list, or that are definitely honorable mentions. Male Kaliki Maka, the classic, very Hawaiian Christmas song.
The first Hawaiian Christmas song that we know of.
Yes, the first and perhaps only one there. I mean, song just general classics, at least in my opinion, like Oh Holy Night didn't make the list. Holly Jolly Christmas didn't make the list. Little Drummer Boy on its own didn't make the list. Sleigh Ride, that was a upsetting one, didn't make the list. Jingle Bells, if I didn't say that one. Fairy Tale of New York, we were really curious about that.
That was an interesting one. So Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogs.
Yes, the Pogs.
Check that song out. I want to do that later myself. It's one we weren't expecting.
Tell us what you think of that one, guys. We're going to check that song out ourselves. We were really curious. We hoped it would have made the list, but unfortunately it didn't. Mistletoe by Justin Bieber didn't quite make it. That's one of my personal favorites. I know Blake probably hasn't heard that one before, but
maybe once. I know Happy Xmas and Wonderful Christmas Time by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, respectively, were at least in the running, but they did not quite make it. And I think actually your version of Little Drummer Boy was at least featured in one list, but also didn't have enough backing, which was sad. But like at the same time, we wanted to come up with the most objective list that was a combination of all of these lists, as this is the combination of the world's top 16 Christmas songs. We took a list from like Spotify, maybe Pitchfork, the Washington Post, like a few recognizable websites and streaming services, obviously, to compile the list of what is now the top 16 for our bracket, and seating was based on how they finished in each list.
Yes. So we will say you can see some of that seating. The number one Christmas song, at least in terms of the world's opinion, like based on these different sources, is All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. An absolute classic. It makes sense that it came in at number one. We have our own opinions about it, which we'll get into here in a minute, because that's our first match we're going to talk about. But yeah, if you're wondering just generally what the world's consensus was, it pretty much rang out for All I Want for Christmas Is You. But what we're going to give you now is the Music Major Meltdown podcast top Christmas song by going through the bracket, our number one.
And this does not say anything about how we rank the other songs. It doesn't mean if a song finishes second, that it's second, like if another song makes it to the finale, because we didn't get to rank it against all the other ones. We got to do it based on the seating. So this is our definitive, what we believe out of these 16 songs is the best Christmas song.
Blake, are you ready to dive in?
I am so excited. I'm sure some of this, I don't know if it'll get heated, but Sam and I are very opinionated people. So
this is true. So we're gonna do our best to bring us through the matchups we agree on pretty quickly, but we'll definitely have a little conversation about the ones we don't agree on.
Yes, we will.
So let's see what happens here. Jumping in, our first bracket, this one right up here, we have All I Want for Christmas Is You versus Do They Know It's Christmas. I guess I'll jump in. I'll get it started.
Yes, why don't you?
I gave it to All I Want for Christmas Is You. I love Do They Know It's Christmas. I think that's a great song that would have certainly ranked higher on my list, but there's just something about that jam factor of All I Want for Christmas Is You.
All right. So we actually don't have conflicting opinions. I gave my vote to All I Want for Christmas Is You, but I actually have a little bit more of a social reason for this. Do They Know It's Christmas? Sound-wise, so going into just a tiny little quip about Do They Know It's Christmas? If you guys don't know, this song was created by Bob Geldof as one of the first national like relief support, like donate money charity songs. And it was created with an all-star lineup that included like George Michael, Bono from U2. I can't even quite remember. There was a ton of people on this song. However, so the song, the music was great. However, the lyrics are kind of demeaning. The lyrics basically are like, there's no joy in Africa this year. It's very much like, well, there's no happiness in Africa. They're not really celebrating Christmas, or like that's all that they have. And the money for the song ended up going to the dictatorships in Africa, and it actually didn't really do anything to help the people. So Bob Geldof, who wrote the song, came out and said, I contributed to the worst two songs of all time, being this and We Are the World, a USA for Africa.
Ooh.
Yes. And so on a social level alone, I'm giving my vote to All I Want for Christmas Is You, just because Do They Know It's Christmas, while it was intended to be charitable, missed the mark in that sense, even though musically it is actually a decent song.
Yeah. I didn't know any of that stuff about
it
because some of it is kind of decent. There is some of those questionable lyrics. I still would have given it to All I Want for Christmas Is You, but yeah, that's a crazy story.
I know. Yeah.
All right. Next one up. Here we go. Keeping it rolling. Feliz Navidad versus Blue Christmas.
All right.
Blake, you go first.
personally, I'm a big Elvis fan. I've got to give my vote to Blue Christmas. No offense to Feliz Navidad. I think it's a very, you like hearing. We don't have many songs that mixed English and Spanish language. So Feliz Navidad certainly gets my respect in that vote. I think Blue Christmas is a little bit more diversive, and you got Elvis.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna lie. I gave my vote to Feliz Navidad. And not even because I necessarily, well, I prefer Feliz Navidad, but not because I like Feliz Navidad a lot. It's because I'm really just not a huge fan of Blue Christmas.
Okay.
So I'm willing to bend on that one to give you, to give it to you to move on to the next round. But I will say I've always found Blue Christmas to be just not in at least my perspective on the holiday spirit.
And I get that. And that's why my opinion kind of comes down to, is it maybe the most joyful festive song? No, probably not. But I think it's just personally a better song, like better written. Like you got the Elvis's famous gospel choirs in the background, kind of doing the little harmonies with him, providing some more layering in the vocals. But yeah, it's kind of a sad song. Personally, I'd go Blue Christmas.
Yeah, and like
I said, the upbeat nature of Feliz Navidad, though.
Fair enough. So for our listeners wondering out there, what we basically, me and Blake have agreed on is whichever one of us has a more passionate love for one of the songs when we're at a conflict, we've agreed to let the passion behind it sort of drive it forward, which on this one in particular, I'm not specifically overly passionate about one versus the other. I think they're both pretty good. Like I do think that Blue Christmas is perhaps a better written song. For me, in terms of Christmas songs, I put Feliz Navidad on because I thought that was more of a Christmas song. But again,
it's a fair point. That's a fair point. But yeah, and again, I think this one's one of those where we're kind of a little bit down the middle.
Which makes sense. This is the 8th and 9th seed.
8, 9.
Like it's the ones that were right down the middle of the lists anyway, so they were overall very close to each other.
Yeah, this is one of the more compelling matchups that we have in the first round, if not the most compelling.
Yeah. So. All right, moving on. Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow versus Winter Wonderland.
I have to remember. Well, Sam, we have my first pun.
Oh no.
Ho, ho, ho. It's songs about snow.
Listeners, I asked him not to do this. He chose to do it anyway. I can't stop him now. I'll get us started. I went with Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow on this one. Again, this one was very, very tight, very close, but I really connected with the lyrics on Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. I found those lyrics to be really heartwarming. Winter Wonderland, I think, is just very generic, like we're all just outside wandering in Winter Wonderland, which is very Christmassy, but the true meaning of Christmas, at least as far as I'm concerned, and this helped shape a lot of where my choices went, has to do with being with people rather than just being in snow. So I went with Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow.
So personally, I actually went with the upset here. I went with Winter Wonderland over Let It Snow. And the specific version of Winter Wonderland, so kind of how Sam and I decided the list is the version of any song we would use was the highest ranked version of that song across any list. And for Winter Wonderland, it was the Michael Bublé version, I believe. And specifically because of Bublé, I put this one a little bit ahead. Let It Snow is not really my favorite song. I'm willing to let that go though, because I wasn't super passionate about Winter Wonderland. The one thing I will say is I do like the jazziness of Michael Bublé with Christmas songs. It makes him kind of easy to make a Christmas album. If this was the Pentatonics version of Winter Wonderland with Tori Kelly, that includes Don't Worry, Be Happy, I think that would win in a landslide.
I honestly, I would agree with you on that, because that one, it has that great, it brings in that very Christmassy feeling by including the not Christmassy song.
Yes.
But it's very like walking in a winter wonderland. You could listen to any time of year because there's very little in it that's specific to Christmas. But then they bring in the Don't Worry, Be Happy, and that just feels Christmassy. But I appreciate you letting me go with Let It Snow, because I just love that feeling of you're just inside with your loved ones. That's what matters.
Campbell's Soup commercial, guys. Campbell's Soup.
Exactly. Staying warm with your family. It's all great.
We're still not getting paid for this. If anyone wants to reach out to Campbell's, please.
Oh, man. What was the other Michael Bublé song? Because I know there was two. He was the only artist to be featured twice on our list.
He was. And probably the only artist.
Was he beginning to look a lot like Christmas?
Beginning to look a lot like Christmas, yes.
Okay.
So I have some on here isn't a cover. He was the only one that really got on with covers. So,
that is true. His covers have become very iconic.
Go Michael Bublé.
All right, next matchup. Here we go. Most Wonderful Time of the Year versus Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Most Wonderful Time of the Year is the classic version. Santa Claus is Coming to Town is the Jackson 5 version. Note, listeners.
All right, so let me just bring the hammer down on this one. I hate the Jackson 5's version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And a lot of this is because I've always loved Michael Jackson's music. I really like the Jackson 5. He just sounds like an annoying little twerp on Santa Claus is Coming to Town, because like, oh my gosh, like it's over and over. It's almost like if they just like did half of the chorus, like, or if they like the amount of times they did the chorus, if they cut that in half, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Because it's interesting. It's the one part of the song they changed, and it's my least favorite part, because they went ahead. It's a different melody. It's a different melody. It's a different rhythm than the original Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And so
the verses or the chorus?
The chorus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the verses are also a little bit different.
A little bit.
Not as much, though.
Especially when you get to like the third verse, they change it up a little bit. But yeah, especially the chorus. And so I give them credit for that, but I don't like the changes. Whereas Most Wonderful Time of the Year, a very, kind of how you said about Let It Snow, it really is the embodiment of the season. Andy Williams' voice just really brings it home. A really nice, crystal clear voice, really expressing all the great things about this time of the year. Yes. And the orchestra in the back, like really just, I love it. I love it.
Oh, well, I'll be honest. I had voted through Santa Claus is Coming to Town over Most Wonderful Time of the Year, but I could tell immediately by your passion that I was not going to be the one that people were going to follow on that one, or that I was worth following. I thought Santa Claus is Coming to Town is just kind of fun, a little bit more fun. Again, I was not super passionate about this. I thought Most Wonderful Time of the Year just always struck me as very like, it's like the one you hear in a shopping mall. Like it doesn't feel like Christmas. It feels more like the local toy store is blasting it through the speakers to get you to buy more toys, to make you feel like it's a wonderful time of the year, so buy more stuff. That's just my like knee-jerk reaction to it. It's not like anything with the content of the song or anything like that. I just have always found that one to be very like all right, we get it, it's a great time of year, let's move on. But Most Wonderful Time of the Year, I am fine with letting it move on.
I guess I'm like more in the what the classic sentimentality of it was supposed to be, like really the sharing of joy with one another, the sharing of the Christmas season. Because I can understand that a lot of stuff has been made very commercialistic. Um, I mean, Christmas in general has, turned into something a bit more commercialistic than what, people want it to be. But yeah, I tend to go with the classic meaning on that. And I just got to say one thing, like sometimes I don't hate Santa Claus is coming to town with the Jackson 5. This year I have just been very dispassionately hateful of it. I just insanely. So
Oh boy.
all
All right.
right.
We got to move on. We got to move on from that because I could tell we could talk for hours on that. But next one up, The Christmas Song by Nat King Cole versus Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas by Michael Bublé. I'll take point on this one for this. I definitely give it to The Christmas Song over Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. I have found as I used to really enjoy Michael Bublé's Christmas, but the more I've listened, I've noticed that there are times when it feels like he's putting in extra stuff for no reason.
Like the jazz breaks.
Yeah, well, not so much the jazz breaks because that is stylistically appropriate.
Okay.
There's just like vocal choices he makes, like with how he minorly changes some of the stuff or some of the lines in it that I've just noticed. I'm like, we don't need that. Like it doesn't add anything to it. You're not actually adding to the Christmas song by covering it that way. You are just putting something out there because it sounds maybe a little cool. So I'm very much so in favor of the Christmas song on this one.
I agree with you 100%. I actually nicknamed this one the Battle of the Jazz. Yeah, see, I thought that was okay. But you kind of have the old the kind of jazz standard with Nat King Cole and the Christmas song, just a classic, like such a classic. His voice is beautiful. Uh, that's one that I can always just kind of have a cup of hot chocolate and watch a Christmas movie or be by my Christmas tree. And that's kind of the vision I get of that song. Beginning to look a lot like Christmas, I actually did enjoy Bublé's version, but yeah, again, the old versus the new jazz, and Michael Bublé is kind of the pop jazz standard now, but I just didn't. There was nothing special about it to me.
I like what you're saying there too. The old versus the new jazz, where I think the old jazz just defined the melodies that were jazzy on their own, and new jazz has a tendency, especially in covers, with like jazzy covers, which is a new sort of thing coming, like has become very popular, especially around Christmas time. They try to just add in vocal runs where they don't need to be and just extra stuff that just feels show offy. I need to make my version sound different than the ones before me. Doesn't always add stuff to it.
And that is kind of the nature of jazz, but for Bublé, I see it tends to work better on his original material than some of his covers.
Absolutely. All right, Battle of the Christmases.
Battle of the Christmases. Oh, and
Last Christmas versus Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Blake, I'll let you go first on this one. Please don't break my heart.
Oh, I think I know which one you want, but first off, let me just give a little bit of a compliment to Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, because Judy Garland is the version of the song we chose, and we love Judy Garland. I mean, she was Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. It is a very nice song, very classic. But I got to go with Last Christmas. Like, Last Christmas. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Man, this is gonna be rough. But I really like George Michael and Wham. Like, Last Christmas just it's a bop. Like, it is the standard of modern Christmas music, I believe. It has really defined the genre. again, I know exactly why you're gonna be, because you don't think it's a very joyful and Christmassy song, but that's why.
No, I think I disagree on that. I'll give my justification for
All
this.
right, let me.
So Last Christmas, I think, is a great song, and this one was a really close choice. And Wham would have again gone really, really high on my list if not for being paired against this. And I don't know, like I surprised myself even when I listened, but I think the orchestration on Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is gorgeous. That opening to that song, I literally just like I almost felt my heart flutter when I heard it. And then even though Judy Garland's voice is maybe not my absolute favorite, just every line she just hits so deep in my heart. Just every line.
Right. That like it's hard for me because you're so right about all the reasons to love that song. It's just,
and
Last Christmas just really like, it tugs a certain string, like it's such good pop music. The verses, like the chorus is so well done, the instrumentation. Somebody was trying to compare this with me of like, oh, Wonderful Christmas Time. I'm like, yeah, Wonderful Christmas Time is how not to do an 80s Christmas song, and Last Christmas is exactly how to do an 80s Christmas song.
Again, I'm in agreement. I wish these two were not pitted against each other. I am very firmly in Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Like,
can we come back?
Okay, we can come back.
I think wow, I was not expecting that to be the matchup that screwed us.
We'll come back to that one, but
all right, this one's an easy one. Let me just tell you, Sam, before
I have White Christmas
versus the Chipmunk song by Alvin and the Chipmunks, which I have called the biggest landslide victory in the history of Christmas music, otherwise known as the Snow Slide.
Oh my gosh, that was a stupid pun.
Even still, there is no question that it's White Christmas is way better than the Chipmunk song. I'm sorry, but if you enjoy listening to auto-tune like highly pitched singers that sped up an auto-tune, if that's what you enjoy, there's a movie for that. It's called Alvin and the Chipmunks. It got released in like 2000 something. Go listen to that and leave the rest of us out of it. White Christmas.
I agree 100%. So I'm not going to argue with you. That one is definitely the one moving on. I will say, if not, I would at least consider it more as more of a competition between the two, if not for just the way they do the Chipmunks voices.
If it was the newer one, I would have given it a little bit more credit.
Well, and I would say what I guess the point I'm trying to make even more so is I think the Chipmunk song on its own, if you took the auto-tune out and just had 3 regular voiced singers singing the song without all the extra like bit comedy scattered throughout, I think it's a quite lovely song that, sure, would it make top of my list? No, it would not. But it's a really nice song that like is kind of cheeky, kind of corny for kids, like all of that. Like, I'm not opposed to it. I like the song on its own. The fact that they did it with the Chipmunks and with the auto-tune and everything like that makes it, again, a landslide victory for White Christmas. But I just want to give a little honorable mention to the Chipmunk song, as like I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would when I listened to it again.
I did, because I found the new one and I was like, I like the new one. Like, I wouldn't put it on my playlist, but I can listen to the new one. The old one sounds outdated. It's slow. Sounds whiny and just I don't know.
Fair enough.
Not my thing. It's very gimmicky. Congrats, you made a ton of money off of it.
All right. The Rockin' Round.
Yes.
The round of
Christmas rockers.
Christmas rockers. Rocking Around the Christmas Tree versus Jingle Bell Rock. I'll go first on this one again, I guess. I gave it to Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. I'm a fan of Jingle Bell Rock. I thought it's great. I think this version feels a little bit slow and feels just like kind of like plodding, kind of boom, 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 which I like and can be nice for a Christmas song. But if you're gonna give me rock, give me rock.
Give him rock.
You know?
Honestly, for this one, it probably wouldn't have mattered what version of Jingle Bell Rock it was, because I love rocking around the Christmas tree. Brenda Lee, is that it?
Yep, Brenda Lee.
Brenda Lee's voice is amazing on it. It's very perfect. It's this, in a way, it kind of reminds me of, what's her face? Well, I can't remember it, but it just has a very like nice, she's like more of an alto. She's not a very high singer, but she just has, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac. Where
I can hear that. Yeah.
She's not like, here to just like use powerful high notes, but instead just kind of command the song. And it's got a very nice guitar line, obviously. I would like to give actually a special shout out to Run Run Rudolph by Chuck Berry, that unfortunately did not even come close to making this list.
Yeah, didn't even get in our honorable mentions based on the list. That's a sad one.
Yeah, but Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, just a standard of holiday hits. It's got a great guitar line. Brenda Lee sings it amazingly. And Jingle Bell Rock, like, it's fine. I think I get annoyed with it a little bit easier than some Christmas songs. So, yeah. Oh boy,
right.
we have to go back.
Okay, we got to come to an agreement on this one. You are at Last Christmas. I am hardcore standing for Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Hardcore. Okay,
like
the reason. Let me ask you this: how far? Well, no, that's gonna spoil it, isn't it?
I mean, I will say it this way. This one made it far.
So did mine. But I am willing to concede because I love Judy Garland. I love her. I agree with everything you said on it. And I don't feel that I myself gave a convincing enough argument as to why Last Christmas should continue.
Again, Last Christmas, and I will give yours credit where it's due. If yours had not been against this one, and I had not been as shocked by how moved I was by how Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, I think Last Christmas could have taken the top spot. Like, or maybe not the top spot, but could have gone all the way towards the end. But yeah, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, a little bit of an upset one on this one. Being a 10th seed, making it into the next round. That one, I was very surprised with.
It's a good song. It's a good song. It's a really good song. All right. Let's
move forward. Let's pick up the pace with these last ones so we can have a really good discussion about the last final two, the last matchup. All right. I will say that I didn't have Blue Christmas making it this far. I would have moved All I Want for Christmas Is You onto the next round.
I as well moved All I Want for Christmas Is You onto the next round.
All right. It's a great song. It's just a banger. Again, Blue Christmas gets the respect it deserves, but All I Want for Christmas Is You pretty well just slaps.
Her tone on it, like the way it was, I listened to it again and it sounds better than I remember it sounding.
It really does. I think it gets a really bad rap because it becomes the #1 song every Christmas season, like top streamed, top of the charts, top selling. Like it goes way far every Christmas season. And people are like, "Whoa, it's just a popular Christmas song." But there's a reason. There's a reason it's so popular. That opening. Oh.
Yeah. The studio engineering on her, like the production quality, it doesn't sound like, it sounds kind of like a pop song, but it doesn't.
I mean, I just can't help but think like how ham I would go if I saw that live in concert. like all I want for Christmas is you, like live in front of me, I don't think I would be able to stop like bouncing and going ham. I mean, that's my type of mosh pit. I swear, like
In July.
in July, yeah. All right, next matchup, keeping it moving. Let It Snow versus Most Wonderful Christmas Time. What was your choice?
Most Wonderful Christmas Time. Well, I didn't have Let It Snow personally moving on. Mine was Most Wonderful Time of the Year. By a landslide, I would say, over Let It Snow personally.
All right, I would say between these two, I did have Let It Snow moving on to the next round, but I'll give it to you because I think you make the point better about the wholesomeness of the song as opposed to the wholesomeness of Let It Snow. Let It Snow is wholesome, so it moved forward for me, but just like it was very like of my wholesome songs, it was not very high on the list.
And they have a very similar vibe in that way. So props to that for actually just being a good thematic matchup between
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. But I'll agree with you. Most Wonderful Christmas or Most Wonderful Time of the Year, sorry, that's a good one. I'm comfortable moving that one on.
Okay, well, this is going to be interesting.
Let's go. I'm going to say let's go down to this bottom one because this next one is going to be an interesting matchup. White Christmas versus Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. I'll get this one started. I had White Christmas moving on. Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree is great song again, but just I can't argue with the classicness of this one.
All the respect in the world to Brenda Lee. You can't argue with Bing Crosby. Like, Bing Crosby is the legend of Christmas music, the beautiful crooner. And, you know, even without giving cred to the other covers of White Christmas, like the Drifters' beautiful version that appears in Home Alone, and plenty of other Christmas movies, without even giving credit to that, White Christmas stands on its own.
Absolutely. I agree. Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, again, fantastic, but
It made it to
didn't
the
quite make it.
semifinals.
All right. Your opinion first.
Well, this is where I was like, the songs are really close to me. I think we got really screwed over in this bracket matchup with these songs, because personally, if I had to rank these songs all together, especially after hearing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, I would have put the Christmas song Last Christmas and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas all bunched up right by each other. No particular order. I don't really know. When I was picking, I had Last Christmas going over the Christmas song.
Well, since it hasn't made it, where did it go?
Since it hasn't, I really like the Christmas song too. I think Nat King Cole just has like the really classic, like, you know, we talked about all the good things of jazz with it, but at the same time, Judy Garland's presents kind of the same kind of vibe.
Exactly. Well, backtracking just for a second. Since we've unfortunately ruled out Last Christmas in the first round, just again, not judging the song, it would have gone in our ranking towards top 5 out of this list at least. But where did you have it ending? Did it go to the finals? Did it?
Well, let me tell you this. It made it to the final on the problem that in this specific round, I could not move it past, or I couldn't choose this.
Okay.
I couldn't choose the final 4.
Gotcha. All right.
I had a problem choosing the matchup in the final 4, so it made it to the final round.
Okay. So
you really kind of screwed me with that one.
I'm sorry. I will say this. My argument for Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas and why I think it at least deserves to move on to the next round, and then we can move on from there, is I don't know if I would say this really any other year, but this song taught me a lot taught me and reminded me about what's important. And I think so many of the lyrics just hit really, really hard with COVID this year. I mean, some of the opening is great, but the through the years we all will be together if the fates allow. It's just the fates didn't allow this year. And that just hit me, and I'm like, oh man, like I understand what she's singing about. This, like, because it's just so
that's crushing. Oh my gosh. Okay. I vote it. Okay. Let me just say this before I decide to kick Nat King Cole out, is that any other year, the Christmas song would be a top 4 song. Like,
absolutely.
no doubt. Any other year. And even still, like, I'm still gonna have like my passion for it. Like, as what was it, a 7 seed?
Second.
It was second.
Yeah. Christmas song was the number 2 seed. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is the 10th seed.
Correct. I would have had it moving on. I wouldn't have had it moving on because it was a high contender, and it would be a high contender every year, and even this year it is, but you make a really compelling argument.
Yeah.
Judy Garland, you're moving on. Nat King Cole, scoot on over.
I swear, it's just the lyrics of it this year just hit me so hard, and I think I will love it more every year after this, because it will remind me of how all the things she mentions are not a certainty. Like, they are not things that definitely happen at Christmas time. Like, if the fates allow, it's a really real line.
Yeah.
And just all the different just so much of the lines hit just so close with COVID and everything. It's a winner for me. All right, here we are. Final 4. All I Want for Christmas Is You, Most Wonderful Time of the Year, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and White Christmas. So we knocked some of the high seeds out.
We did, yeah.
Sure, we still have the 1, 3, and 5, but our 2 and 4 did not make it.
You know, I'm not totally surprised about Let It Snow as much. Personally, I thought it was a little bit overrated, but like, I can get it. The Christmas song, yeah. I was surprised as I was listening to stuff that I would boot it out as early as I did. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really gonna put, I was gonna put Last Christmas over the Christmas song. And even with this, I'm very much in favor of putting Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas over it. And so if anyone's mad, throw it in the comments. I like to hear the passionate fans of any of these songs that we have just, kicked to the curb, basically. And I'd like to hear some screams and maybe some pitchforks on the day after Christmas.
We are big fans of pitchforks here at Music Major Meltdown. Yep. All right, let's go.
I can give you his address.
I'll give you Blake's address then, too.
Okay, never mind.
First matchup in our semifinal round, All I Want for Christmas Is You versus Most Wonderful Time of the Year. I'll start this one just because I didn't have Most Wonderful Time of the Year moving on. So that sort of by default means I give it to All I Want for Christmas Is You. I think, again, I've said this before, this song absolutely slaps. The orchestration is magnificent. The opening slow section, I'm just like shaken by those bells. Like, just the chimes that ring out in there, I'm just like, whew, I get like chills, and then it really like picks up and I get more excited. So I give it to All I Want for Christmas Is You.
So I had both of these songs getting to this point, and I still picked It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year for the very reasons that I agree. I've been sold a little bit more on All I Want for Christmas Is You. I do think it's got that point where it's overplayed, but even just in our times and how it is in 2020, I felt that it still rang true this year, that even in the hardest of times, it's still the most wonderful time of the year because we still have things to be grateful for. We still have things to celebrate. It's kind of like, I'll take a quote from the Grinch. I did everything possible but it still came. Christmas still came. I couldn't stop it. No one could. It's the most wonderful time of the year, no matter how you slice it. And that is why it gets my vote.
And that's fair. I mean, I think the best argument I could make for All I Want for Christmas Is You is just paralleling your argument. That, I mean, also keeping in mind, I think the orchestration is wonderful. The melodies are great. Mariah Carey's voice absolutely slays in this song. No pun intended. Slay. Get it? Slay.
Yeah, you said it 3 times. I think they got it.
Yeah, I think they did too. That was more for you, Blake. I just wanted to annoy you with that one.
Oh, thank you.
Along with all of how I think the song truly is just magnificent in many ways. I also would say that it does probably echo a lot of people's mentalities in the sad, maybe perhaps sadder sense, is that, or also in a happy sense, that it's the most wonderful time of the year. And to use that Grinch quote against you, the reason Christmas still came, even after the Grinch took all of their other stuff, is that all they really needed or wanted to celebrate their Christmas is they had each other. And so all you need
in the spirit
for
of Christmas, Sam, we still have each other. And I think people are realizing that even if we can't be physically there with each other, we know people are with each other. There are so many ways that people are going above and beyond to adapt to this situation, especially at this time, to still spend time with their families, or, put more emphasis in the type of gift you're getting somebody, to put more effort into it. Instead of just buying something, make something, do this really nice thing. I've seen more Christmas lights this year than I've seen any other year, because people are really investing into this type of season, because that is the one thing we have to cling on to. And that is why. All
right.
I got you. Yes.
I will say, All I Want for Christmas Is You did move on to this next round for me, but it did not win in the next round. So that's why I'm a little more comfortable.
Interesting. I did not know that. All right.
Let's go to this matchup. This one's going to be rough. Okay, I'll start just again, keeping it simple. This round looks exactly the same as it did on my bracket predictions. I had Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas going forward.
You did not. Did not.
That gives away a little bit of where my ending would have been. But I was so moved by this, and on top of being moved by the lyrics and how I know I'm going to see these lyrics differently every year going forward, echoing, I think I said this already, but I'll echo it again, very similar to All I Want for Christmas Is You. This has that just supreme orchestration, gorgeous, everything, all the sounds just sound so fantastic. I love it. It's like, All I Want for Christmas Is You is, I think, perhaps, at least again, just my opinion, very top tier new era Christmas orchestration.
I would agree.
And I think this one is very top tier old school Christmas orchestration.
It's a dagger, Sam. So, folks, here's what we've come on to. Whatever we decide here, All I Want for Christmas Is You is second in this way that we've ranked it. In this bracket, it will lose, because I picked whoever won between White Christmas and Last Christmas, because for some darn reason I couldn't decide, literally, because I don't know.
You didn't even put a winner in. So you got something all the way to the end.
I said whoever won the matchup between White Christmas and Last Christmas would have beat anything from the other side.
Okay, so
that was
that means your vote would technically be for White Christmas, because
my vote would be for White Christmas. And when I was making this bracket, I got really sucked into the poppiness of Last Christmas. I think if I was picking today, I would have given a pretty solid victory to White Christmas. And again, it's just White Christmas, the best-selling Christmas single of all time, for a darn good reason. Bing Crosby's voice, his croony voice is just so beautiful, that deep, low voice. He's done the song so many times, him and Irving Berlin, Irving Berlin writing the song. Let me just give you an interesting factoid. Irving Berlin is Jewish, and he wrote the biggest selling Christmas single of all time.
Huh.
Yes.
I could get behind some. I mean, I see your point. I mean, again, I won't say, out of the sake of the Christmas spirit, I don't want to say that I want to put my foot down for Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I don't want to say it because it's Christmas time, but I feel like with White Christmas, I'm going to pull it back to just us for a second.
It's so hard. So I've
always been, and this has been something I brought up almost every podcast. I am a huge lyrics guy.
Yes, you are.
And I think White Christmas has some really nice lyrics. Like, they are nice.
Oh, Sam, I can kill you at the first line on this one.
I don't know.
Dreaming of a White Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, the ones we don't have this year, because that's what we're all dreaming of. We're dreaming of the White Christmas that we had spending with our families.
I don't think I take it perhaps a little more literally, where I think White Christmas implies just the snow part. And I feel like in that argument, in my opinion, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Let me just pull up the lyrics here to White Christmas.
I think it just
find all the nail biters. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Yes, but have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. And then again, all of those are just hit so hard this year with through the years we all will be together if the fates allow. And just just a reminder, the fates aren't allowing this year.
All right. My only other argument for White Christmas is that the line always rings with me, just like the ones I used to know, because my mom is the one who introduced me to Bing Crosby. I listened to White Christmas. We watched Holiday Inn together. We watched the movie White Christmas together, and it became a family tradition, especially the last few years. And so it reminds me of home. And it's just it's a sentimental song to me, to my upbringing, and it has the connection beyond just this year. So that is the last thing I will say. If you can convince me, then I am willing.
I don't know if I can convince. I mean, I don't have the family connection that you do to the song. Because really, with almost any songs, I don't really have a family connection with, at least with Christmas songs. My family likes Christmas music, but we don't have like traditional song type thing. But
let me put this as a question out there. Either one of these songs we would pick, is it beating All I Want for Christmas Is You?
No.
If it's White Christmas, it's not beating it.
I would say, again, because of the reasons you bring up, I would say White Christmas is a close matchup with All I Want for Christmas Is You, in my opinion. But I don't think I would be willing with everything you've said to accept that it wouldn't really beat it.
Sam, I'm going to give you an early Christmas present, and I'm going to allow you to move Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas into the championship round because of pure Christmas spirit and pure generosity on my end.
There you have it, folks. Because of Blake's generosity. Oh, wait, hang on. Okay, quick question. We moved Most Wonderful Time of the Year onto the next round.
Yeah, we did. God.
I think we almost missed that. I still would say Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas tops Most Wonderful Time of the Year.
Would you say White Christmas tops Most Wonderful Time of the Year?
Yes. Actually, yes. If that's the matchup, I would very clearly say White Christmas tops that.
All right. You know, I did give you that gift. How about we say this? If we have to pick one, we will pick yours. But I would love to see in the comments who they think the winner is. So, folks, would you have picked Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Judy Garland or White Christmas by Bing Crosby? You've seen.
I think that truly is the final matchup. Is like what
that
you
is truly
said.
the final match. Yes, if we
nothing from this top half of the bracket, as you said earlier, would have beaten either White Christmas or Last Christmas.
Yes, in my rankings, and personally, while I do like All I Want for Christmas Is You, I don't think it's a matchup for the longevity of White Christmas. So I do think the true matchup for Sam and I was White Christmas versus Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Yeah, and so we came to the conclusion, just especially this year, it's Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I would say, like, if this was last year, it would have looked different. I think, based on my rankings, I think I would have had All I Want for Christmas Is You winning, but White Christmas would have come as a close second.
If it was last year, I probably would have had All I Want for Christmas Is You out sooner. I gave it more love this year than I usually do. I usually avoid that song like the plague. This year, I don't know why. I just discovered, all right, I don't actually hate this. Like, I think it's a good Christmas song.
Yeah. So really, we have a lot of Christmas recommendations there for you. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is going to hit you. Yeah, I think it'll hit you right in the feels this Christmas.
Well, it certainly will. It did me.
All I Want for Christmas Is You. That'll hit you. I mean, that just hits you in an exciting place. Like, it's a great feel-good song, has a nice message. I think
Christmas will hit you with that nostalgia. And again, like, we both sang our praises of Bing Crosby tonight. So,
yeah. And, you know, the Chipmunk song will hit you in your eardrums and make them want to explode.
Yeah. So maybe we might recommend avoiding that one. But two important things. One, please drop down in the comments your favorite Christmas song. If there was any glaring omissions, or if you absolutely hated our pick in a matchup, we want to know it. We're opinionated people, and we know you are too. So let us know down in the comments what your favorite Christmas song is. And also, if you want to check out Christmas playlist based on this episode, go over to my Spotify account, and you can find that just as a nice little tree topper to all the wonderful Christmas gifts you will hopefully be getting tomorrow.
Absolutely. We fully acknowledge that even though we had some songs on this that we definitely like way more than others, I don't think there's a single song on there really that we actually truly just dislike. Chipmunk song, sure, we're not a big fan, but I think the song itself is pretty good. Like, it's just the voices of the Chipmunks are perhaps a little grating. You could find a better version of it if you want. The rest of the songs are all great songs. This was a tough choice for a lot of these. What was that? Want to say that? for the podcast.
Sorry. I was just mentioning the little boy Michael Jackson and his family and the Jackson 5 who absolutely ruined Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
All right. Fair enough.
But
From
happy
all of us-
vibes here. Happy vibes here.
Happy vibes. It's Christmas time.
It is
From us here at the Music Major Meltdown podcast, we want to wish you the happiest of holidays. Whatever holiday you celebrate, we want to wish you a happy one of those. From us, we'll be honest, we're Catholic. We are very excited about Christmas. So Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. Happy holidays, everything like that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I have been Sam.
I have been Blake, and Merry Christmas to all, and to all good listening.
Oh, well, that didn't work. Fine, good listening. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See you in the new year.